Over to you, Rebecca.
Good morning, Rhea. Our final question for our Ask the Expert No Pain, No Gain is on the social side, and what impact does pain have on people's life?
Yeah. So again, similar with the psychology as well, it's something that generally outside of specialist teams, we're not as great at recognizing and doing something about. So the impact on people's social lives, and also from a spiritual point of view as well as social, again, is huge. You know, as I mentioned earlier about the impacts that pain has on people's role, on their occupation, their hobbies, their interests. They may have had to give up things that they've really enjoyed in lives and gave them a purpose and gave them something to focus on, and gave them that positive outlook on life, and that they may feel that that's been taken away because of pain. Their role in their relationship. So I know, pain has a massive impact on people's relationships, not only from a communication point of view. People might feel that they're distancing or being distanced from their partner, or not being able to engage as much with their children, which can be so hard with dealing with that kind of guilt as well, from not being able to have what you class to be a normal relationship with your family and being able to do the things that you used to do before. But also like the sex and intimacy side as well, that there's a lot of guilt around that, the fact that if you're in pain and you're not able to be as intimate. And again, there's some really good resources out there that I'll share with Mummy Star team to share with the mummies about places that you can get support from that side of things. I think there was one shared really recently on Mummy Star actually that was really good. But also things like finances. Our pain has a massive impact on our ability to work and to function, and so that has a huge impact on our finances. You may have gone from being the breadwinner of the family to then not being able to work as much, and the stresses that that brings. It affects our values and our beliefs. So a lot of us have very set values about, how we should be, how we should function, how we should act, what our role should be. And a lot of that can be challenged when we've got pain or with any long-term condition, but particularly with pain. And it's really important to get support from that side of things. And this is why we have occupational therapists as part of our pain specialist team, to try and support people with those parts of their lives where they want more of, they want to gain more of themselves. And that's really, really important part of managing pain, is to try and add more of you to your pain. Pain can become such a massive part of our lives and can almost become the center of our lives, where everything that we plan, everything that we do revolves around that pain. And that can become so overwhelming and so debilitating for people that it's really important to get that support, to be able to shift that balance again, to find that balance between the pain and us. There's a wonderful video by a lady called Tamar Pincus, which is available on YouTube, which I'll share the link. And it's just such a lovely, lovely visual representation of how pain starts to chip away and take bits away from us. And that it's really important to start adding some of those bits back in again. We may not be able to get rid of the pain. As I said earlier, pain often, when it's gone past that 3-6 months point, starts to become a bit more permanent. But it doesn't mean that there aren't things that we can do that can start to shift that balance a little bit. And by adding more of yourself back into your life, it can really help to shift that balance from the pain being all consuming to becoming part of your life, rather than the whole overwhelming, the entirety of it. Faith is something that's not talked about very much either. So the more the spiritual side, and that doesn't have to just be religious faith. It can be faith in yourself, faith in your friends, your family, and often that can be shaken when we go through something like a cancer diagnosis, and then also dealing with pain. It has a massive impact on that too. We can start to question things and start to have doubts about what about everything. And it's really important for us to recognize that in ourselves, and be able to reflect on if our pain is having a huge impact on those different areas, and reach out to people, again, either through charities or through other organizations that are able to support. And again, specialist teams will have people involved with them that can support with that. Things like being able to signpost just maybe social services that would be able to support, financial charities or financial organizations, that can be really important. Even just helping with the finances can take away that extra stress and pressure. There is a great charity that I had support from called Home Start, who can provide support if you're struggling to manage. There's responsibilities with your family, and it can just take the pressure off so that you can focus on you again and actually start to do some things that you need to try and regain that sense of yourself as well. So there are lots and lots and lots of things out there, but people have to be aware of them, and a lot of the time they're not, because they're not focused on by health professionals. A lot of the time it's not then signposted, so people aren't aware that they have all of this support out there if they need it. And again, that's something that is really important for us to do, to try and raise that awareness with other health professionals, GPs, oncology teams, to try and get more out there so that more is understood and known about what support is available to people. And it's going back to that kind of what I was saying about the stress response and the things that we can do to try and manage our pain. The social side of things is such a big part of how we can manage our pain, and that's really difficult at the moment. I think, with COVID and with lockdown, we're missing that social interaction. We have the ability to do these wonderful things by teams, but it's not quite the same as having that social connection, the hugs from our loved ones, and being able to see people and meet up and go out and do things. And for some people, that may be how they've coped before. I know for me personally, distraction is a massive coping technique. I do as much as I can to distract myself from pain. And actually, for some people, if they're not able to go out and socialize and be able to meet their friends and family, that can take away a massive part of what they use to cope. And it's about trying to find other ways to be able to do that. And I think that's why, the Mummy Star, the forum, and also the chats that you do for people is such an important component of trying to manage that social impact that not just pain, but now COVID has had on our lives as well. Yeah, and as I said in the psychology part, it's about trying to add more of you to your pain, trying to reduce how much impact that the pain has on us. One of the kind of analogies people sometimes use about pain is about letting pain move out of the driving seat and pushing them more into the passenger seat. I like to think of putting the pain more in the boot rather than just shove them all the way back in the boot. It doesn't need to be up the front. And there are ways that it can be done, and it is really, really hard. I'm not gonna lie and say that using self-management techniques, medications, psychological strategies, they're not easy fixes for pain. Because of the complexities of pain, it takes a huge amount of hard work to get to the point where actually you are more in control of the pain and able to maybe live alongside it rather than have it taking control and leading from the front. But that's why it's so important for us to raise awareness of that, and for people to have that access to the support that's available out there to help them do it. It would be ridiculous to think that somebody could be able to manage such a massive thing on their own. It's the whole thing about it takes a village, and that's definitely true. And as I said, that doesn't just include health professionals, that includes our colleagues, our friends, our family, the other mummies on the support group. It's a great source of social interaction and social support that people need to be able to manage. And it gives us that boost, those nice chemicals again that we can access from our brain that help to calm down the pain system. When we're with people that we love and we are happy around, then it gives us that boost, and it produces all of those nice natural pain relieving things as well. So if I could prescribe anything, it would probably be do lots more of what you love and what you enjoy, and try and get rid of as much as possible of the things that cause you distress and stress and just aren't helpful for you. The other thing that I didn't mention that I want to mention is sleep side of things. How could I forget the sleep? Sleep has such a massive impact. And I know that's not necessarily the social side, although for people whose sleep is disturbed by it, it affects their relationships and that side of things as well. But I just wanted to make sure that I'd recognize that actually for a lot of people, the sleep side of things and the knock-on effect of that with the fatigue is such an important aspect. And actually, the less sleep we have, it makes the pain far harder to cope with as well. So it becomes part of that vicious circle. And there's some quite nice resources available around things like pain and sleep. So I'm going to dig out all of my links and documents and stuff that I can find and send them over to the Mummy Star team in a little list. So if you want to access them and learn a little bit more, I appreciate this. Pain is really complex. I did a 2-year master's on pain, but 45 minutes isn't a lot of time to go through it all. So I'll give as much information as possible. So if people want to learn a little bit more or look into it, then they can do with all those resources as well. So